Today we're going to talk about Betteridge's law, which is the law in journalism that says if a headline ends with a question mark, you can always answer no. Is this car the Tesla killer? No. Donald Trump really say this outrageous thing? No, he did not. Now, I'll admit part of the reason why we're talking about this today is I overheard one of our opinion writers talking to a podcast producer, and he said, headlines that end with a question mark trigger me. And I turned over and I said, only snowflakes get triggered. Nonetheless, he's actually correct. Even if he's, piped down, getting triggered about question mark headlines, there is something called the Betteridge's law that states roughly whenever you see a headline, piece of clickbait video, or an article, or in a newspaper that ends with a question mark, like, is this car going to replace the Tesla? You can answer it no, because the author, the journalist, or the editor would not have inserted that question mark if it was indeed a declarative statement they could probably rest their case behind. Where do we get this term? We get it from the British journalist in 2009, Ian Betteridge, once again proving that the UK are better at music, poets, and journalistic observations than Americans. You might think poets, Shelley, Byron, Siegfried Sassoon, Suicide in the Trenches, a classic poem, even T.S. Eliot. Yeah, he was born in Missouri, but come on, he moved to Britain and converted to Catholicism. That's not the epitome of British poetry. I do not know what is. But back to the Betteridge law. Perhaps the most famous example, the Betteridge rule, was in the American 1916 election, the presidential election, when most of the American newspapers wrongly said that Charles Hughes had won the presidential nomination, not Woodrow Wilson. In fact, it was the World that at the last minute got a tip from allegedly a gambler. You know how us journalists like to run among the shady sort. And the gambler said, I actually think Woodrow Wilson won it. So he quickly telefaxed rode a horse, whatever they did in 1916, back to his editors and said, I don't know if Charles Hughes won. Maybe Woodrow Wilson might have actually won. I know every newspaper saying Charles Hughes won, but Woodrow Wilson may have won. So what did the World do? They went with the headline, Hughes elected in closest election? ? In reality, their headline was already Hughes elected in closest election, declarative statement, but they switched it to a question mark because they weren't sure, but once again, thus proving the Betteridge rule that you could answer it no. Hughes elected in closest election? No. Woodrow Wilson was elected. And that is the Betteridge law of journalism, that whenever you see a headline with a question mark, it is invariably no. Now you might think, why do they do this? Is there some sort of higher click-through average? Does it get people to click more often? No, not really. It's mainly seen as a defense by newspapers and editors to avoid defamation, libel a little bit. We added a question mark. We said possibly. We're speculating a little bit. It's basically a hedge. It's basically when editors or journalists or newspaper outlets don't have quite enough corroborating evidence to make a firm case that what they're saying is true, but it's still a juicy enough story that they want to talk about it anyway, so they run it with a headline of a question mark. Unless you get, this new BMW is the Tesla killer? No, it's not, but it's a cool BMW car and we want to talk about it. Or maybe it's not BMW, it's the Porsche Taycan. I think that's the one that's going to kill the Tesla. That's what usually happens. So when you see a headline with a question mark, you, my informed viewer, can now know it's going to be an entire waste of your time, your attention, and the answer is going to be no, and the information is going to be speculation. And that is the Betteridge law in journalism. Now, a little side note, there is some evidence to suggest that when sentences or headlines are constructed in the second person, referring to you, particularly in advertising products, they do perform better. A famous example was English teaching courses, and they ran with the headline, this advertisement ran with the headline, do you mess up these English words? And you read it and you look at the examples and you're like, I do mess up these English words. I don't speak too good. So while in hard news and journalism with a capital J, the question mark at the end of a headline is always rubbish, in advertising or promotion, you'll sometimes see headlines in the second person with a question mark because it has been shown to correlate with higher click-throughs and higher engagement. That's all for this video. Hopefully you found it interesting, insightful, bloody, right, entertaining. Thanks for watching, guys. If you want to leave a comment down below, I would love it. Did you know about the Betteridge law? Did you suspect there was a Betteridge law? Who do you find is the biggest offender of adding question marks at the end of their headlines? It's very clickbaity. I've been known to add a few question marks at the end of my headlines because occasionally there is a story that you just want to talk about and you've been too lazy to actually do all the fact checking. Well, let's just talk about it and speculate it. I'm even guilty of it myself. Anyway, leave a comment down below, like this video if you liked it. Subscribe, click here to watch another video that I'm not going to bother to embed. You can also text me at, let me look up this number, 646-789-4837. Give me a comment directly, straight to a phone, right to this phone. And I'll see what you have to say. Thanks for watching, guys. See you tomorrow. Bye.